some noises. All right, it is time for our 2023, that's for next year, but our 2023 TEDxEustis conference, Meet the Speakers. We have gone through over 130 applications. We've talked to people in the community. We've curated some of our own folks, and we have found 14 speakers that we want to bring to the TEDxEustis stage on January 28th, 2023. My name is Timothy Totten. I am the license holder and co-organizer of TEDxEustis, and I'd love to introduce my co-organizer. Byron, introduce yourself.
Hi, good evening. My name is Byron Fowdy. I'm our co-organizer for TEDxEustis and super excited to come into year number 6. This is kickoff.
It's pretty amazing that it's been that long, isn't it? It's really surprising. Now, Peter is one of our curators, and Pete, you've been with us a number of years now. I would love to ask you a question, Peter, so unmute yourself. What keeps you coming back every year?
After you do it once, how could you not come back?
I completely agree with you. And we were talking today about how long Robin and Byron and I wanted to do TEDxEustis, and Byron was like, well, I think at least 10 years. So I know we got at least 10 years of that. And if you do join us and your video is on, if you don't mind just turning your video off, you'll click the button on the lower left-hand side that says start or stop video. And that would be great. Perfect. And Sabrina, you have been a coach for a couple of years, and this year you were a speaker. Sorry, you were a TEDxEustis speaker, then a coach for a couple of years. And this year we asked you if you would step up and take over for our co-curator, Tim, to tell us while he stepped away to some other things that were going to take up his time. What's it been like for you to step into this role, and what are you looking forward to?
Well, it's been exciting, a little nervous, but I feel like I've got great support with the TEDxEustis, with the team in across the board. It was a great experience being a speaker, and I think I've said this before. I absolutely love Robin. There is no way you could get rid of me with your mom on this team, because she is a kindred spirit. And
yeah, and she does such a great job to keep us going. So hopefully we can bring her on. Mom, Robin, are you still there? Can we bring your video up? There you are. Are you busy manning the waiting room and handling all the other stuff?
I am, but it's going fine.
Perfect. Well, so this is the organizing team that puts together this year's TEDxEustis that will actually be January 28th, 2023. So thank you all for being here, and we're going to right now announce our theme. I'm going to read something super important, if I can do that, if I can figure out how to do it. And I will, well, I got to find the right thing. You know how that goes. So this year's theme, I don't know if we can drum roll it even. Yeah, we have to pretend to drum roll it. This year's theme is intersections. Now, I can get to the right place so I can read it to you. Traveling the path of life, there are intersections at which you can meet other travelers, and intersections where you make a decision to change your own trajectory. Even when we're continuing forward on a path, an intersection is the place to slow down, consider your surroundings, and take note of what is crossing your intended way. For the 2023 TEDxEustis conference, we're not just interested in intersections along literal and figurative paths, but also what happens when disciplines intersect. What can we learn from the intersection of different cultures? And how can we create intersections for others who need a new direction in their lives? From identifying off-ramps for felons who too often reoffend and take the U-turn back to prison, to identifying the benefits of finding the intersection between education and nature, our 2023 TEDxEustis conference will explore a wide range of topics, from 14 engaging speakers and a couple of really talented performers. So I did say I was going to tell speakers who was going to speak first. I didn't do that yet. I didn't text that into you, but I'd like to start with Becci Curry. So Becci, while you bring yourself up to the screen, I will give a short introduction to you.
Hi.
Oh, hi, Becci. There you are. Let me give you that quick introduction. I want to make it a little more Sabrina's all smiley because she knows Becci actually, which is great.
For many years.
Becci is a teacher, librarian, and naturalist from Camden County, Georgia for over 30 years. And Becci, I think it's pretty interesting. You have twice been selected as St. Mary's Elementary Teacher of the Year and the Camden County Teacher of the Year, voted one of the top 5 teachers in the state of Georgia, and a few other really amazing things. What's the secret? What do you do that we could learn from in terms of how to become Teacher of the Year?
Well, I think that I never hold back my passion. I always, what I told myself when my first year of teaching was that I wanted to teach like my kids were in my classroom, my own personal children, that I wanted it to be what I would want them to have from a teacher. And I've always just given it 100%. I can say I've never had a disgruntled day. I absolutely love my students and just love to connect with them.
And that's clearly paid off, not only in all of those accolades, which are nice, obviously, but I'm sure you see it from your students themselves and the way they react to you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I still have students that come back to me as adults that just say, you know, tell me what a difference I made in their life, or just how I just changed the way they looked at something, a discipline, or just, you know, with me, their natural world, of course, was always my goal.
Which brings us, of course, to the topic that you're going to be talking about, something called nature deficit disorder. And if you can do that in a sentence or two, tell us what that really means for school children.
Okay, so nature deficit disorder is not a medical diagnosis. It is a phrase that was coined by Richard Louv in the book Last Child in the Woods, which came out in 2005. And I read that book and it confirmed everything I think I already thought about, but actually made me know that it was imperative that children get hands-on, true involvement with their natural world, and just how many different ways they were affected by the lack of that.
So how do you do that in your role now?
I do that by getting children outside, by bringing outside things in. I have a collection, I call it my museum, of things from the natural world that I've collected for over 30 years. So I have, for instance, a pair of owl feet, and I can pass those around to my students when we're talking about birds and say, feel that roughness of their actual feet and look at those talons. Can you see how they can hold on to a snake? Can you picture it in your mind? Look how muscular they are. And they get it and they feel it and they touch it and they know it's true and they connect.
You know, what's really great too is that the other people that you see on the screen, we were all in a room at choosing who we were going to put on our stage and finding the right mix. And we called everybody that we could. And when we called you, we couldn't get a hold of you because you were out in the woods.
I was camping with my granddaughter. That's exactly right. I took her off for a week and we were camping, and I was kind of off the grid a little bit. So, and that's the thing. That's what I really do is I get people outside. That's my.
That is fantastic. Well, we're so excited to have you on board as one of our speakers. We're definitely going to try to work in maybe some hands-on stuff for our own attendees to do that will tie in with your efforts to overcome nature deficit disorder. So we're looking forward to everything that you're going to bring to us and working with one of our coaches. Congrats on being chosen, and we can't wait to hear more.
I'm super excited too. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome, Becci. Thank you. We're going to next bring on CeCe Espeut, and I'm going to read you a little bit about CeCe. Becci chose as her moniker, by the way, the last person who was on, a tree hugger extraordinaire. We ask everyone to give themselves a title. CeCe, you might be able to tell from her picture, is big-haired storyteller. And what is so fun is not only, I'm actually not even going to give you an intro because I think I'm going to ask you during the conversation. So CeCe, you're going to talk to us about storytelling, which makes so much sense because you're the big-haired storyteller. But you're going to talk about storytelling and how it fits with another discipline. Tell us what that is.
All right. And thank you for having me, Tim.
Yeah.
So my talk is going to be how science and storytelling interconnect, because I believe that there are so many wonderful projects that scientists are doing, and we need to hear about them, but we don't want to hear about that dry facts and figures. We want their story. Why are they doing that? Why does it matter to us?
And I understand that you actually came up with this particular idea because you were taking a class that you misunderstood. Wasn't there something about the class you signed up for wasn't what you thought it was going to be?
Correct. There were 20 students in the class, and they were all PhDs, and I'm a PHO. I'm a photographer. And I said to the professor, "Oh, I think I took the wrong class." And she was like, "No, you're a storyteller. You tell stories with your pictures. You can help us."
So how did you find, I know you'll tell a lot more of this in your talk, how did you find that what you know as a storyteller helped those more dry PhD students, scientists, researchers?
We need to hear their stories, because stories unite us, stories excite us, and stories heal us. And so that's why we need to know their story. Why does their research matter?
And it's interesting, you are not a novice to the TEDx stage. Where else did you speak?
I was lucky enough to be chosen as a 2018 TEDx speaker. And since then, I've volunteered with TEDx every chance I get. So being selected to be here is an incredible honor to be on the stage again.
I don't want to spoil your other TEDx video. I want people to go see it. You spoke at TEDx Boca Raton, but you do mention very, very early in that TEDx talk, and I think to the surprise of everyone in the audience, that you were once a member of the US military. Is that correct?
Yes, I am a former US Marine. So
Yeah. Well, what a big surprise for us. What is that experience and the subsequent experiences that you talk about in your other TEDx talk? So I won't spoil it for anyone. How has that helped you learn how to be a better storyteller?
because I think when we tell our stories, we control the narrative. We control what we want people to know about us. So I think it's very important that people take their experiences and put them in the right context, and they tell their story so that somebody else doesn't come up with a story about them.
CeCe, we're so excited to have you on our stage, not just because we don't have to teach you everything new, because you have already you've been through the fire before. As Jason says in the comments, Semper Fi to you. And we're looking forward to you bringing that storytelling skill to us. And I think you and Byron are gonna really bond, because he is also a photographer. And I think y'all are gonna have a great time together. CeCe, thanks for being here. We so appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next, we have Chuck McMaster, and his title is Average Daily Driver. But I also tell you, I've known Chuck for a long time. He is anything but average. He's been the managing partner of the healthcare supply chain consulting company for the last 7 years. And I don't know who has their, oh, that's Chuck going on there. Perfect. And he is a driver every day all over the streets. And he's going to bring us a pretty interesting conversation about driving laws. Chuck, how are you today?
I'm great. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I am hearing somebody else's audio, but maybe that's just Chuck's audio. So I don't think anybody else is open. Perfect. Chuck, you're going to talk, you have another side gig and you drive the roads a lot. What is the other thing that you do that gets you on the road?
I needed something to calm the mind because it's going all the time. So I am delivering auto parts.
And you probably see a whole different side of traffic in the road now that you're doing that.
I absolutely do, and it's terrifying.
You know, we didn't choose the theme intersections just because of you, but it fits so well to your topic. It's fascinating to me. We talk a lot. When we were talking about who we were going to pick, we thought Chuck has been a coach for us for a number of years. You've coached some really great speakers for us. And when you brought this idea forward, we thought it makes so much sense because we don't think about how seldom even we follow the rules of the road. And so you're going to bring us an idea about doing that. How has being a coach helped prepare you to actually be a speaker?
I think you inject storytelling into your speech, so it's just going to be conversational, more or less, to point out observations, good, bad, and otherwise.
Well, if you had to pick one of your previous speakers to be your coach this time, who would you pick?
Dr. Corey Novak.
Pretty fantastic. If you're watching and you haven't seen her talk on how prison hospice can and should change your view of the world, then you should go check it out, along with the couple 100,000 other people that have already seen it. Chuck, before we let you go, anything else you're looking forward to with being a speaker on the TEDx stage?
Learning to listen to advice.
Well, you're really good at giving it, so I think you'll actually probably be good at listening to it. And if not, we have a couple curators that'll make sure you do. So
Had that conversation.
thank you so much, Chuck. We will see you soon.
Looking forward to it. Thanks.
All right. Next, we're going to have Dotti Groover-Skipper. And oh, there you are, Dotti. Let me read a little bit about you. Dotti is the founder of Heart Dance Foundation, which is serving women, men, and children engaged in sexual exploitation. And she facilitates anti-trafficking initiatives with the No More Foundation. She has had more than 40 plus years in the anti-trafficking arena, and she's received a number of recognitions for her work, including the Florida Human Trafficking Advocate of the Year, Woman of Distinction, the Florida Achievement Award, and recognized by the Tampa Bay Lightning Foundation as a community hero. And Dotti, you have other really amazing things in your past. Tell me why human trafficking is such an important thing in your life.
I'll go back to over 40 years ago when this issue first came to my attention, when there was no label of human trafficking way back in the day. And I was put in a situation where there was someone in a self-esteem class I was teaching that ended up being a trafficking victim by her grandmother. So a string was plucked in my heart that day to quit my corporate job and to get involved in this issue. So I've been at it for 40 years.
That is impressive. Now you're going to bring to us a topic. I don't know that we can pinpoint exactly what your topic is going to be, because we are you had two amazing topics and we're working to meld those together. But one of the things that you talked to us about, which we found very interesting, I think you and I both share this. I am a middle child. Is that the same for you?
Yes, I am the middle. I have 4 siblings. So there's 5 of us. They're a brother and sister ahead of me and a brother and sister behind me. So I was smack dab in the middle of 5 kids. So I learned very quickly how to be the negotiator, the peacekeeper. And at the same time, I felt many times that I was invisible because I just felt invisible. So I want to bring that into my talk as well, and how that correlates with many of the sex trafficking victims that I have worked with over the years, that they think, and it's probably true, that nobody sees them.
And that is part of what really intrigued us. Your application was titled "I See You," which we know is a great title, maybe not for a TEDx talk. We'll get you a title that's very specific about what you do. I mean, it's a great book. It's the book that you need to write if it's not already written. But it really told us a lot about what you were going to talk about. And we saw the parallels of how the intersections of how that fits both middle children. I know you're going to bring to us some ideas of how maybe middle children have some benefits to not being seen. But obviously, we want you to bring us some ideas about how we can, those of us in the audience can see people who are being trafficked, recognize it, and make sure that we help. You're also involved in another organization, I believe, and I know this is not what you do every day now, but weren't you a cheerleader of sorts at some point?
You must have been talking to your mom. Yes, I was a cheerleader for the Miami Dolphins way back in the day, 1978 through 80. My claim to fame there was I got plowed over on the football field by Larry Zonka, and I was black and blue for weeks.
Oh,
and he even stopped to help me up. But actually, that's a part of my story that I won't go into now, but I will leave some of the things that I experienced way back in that day in my story, if the coach agrees with it.
Well, we love personalizing these stories. It's part of the secret of what makes TEDx Talks and TED Talks so engaging to the audience, as they really are storytelling, and we get people to understand ideas through the stories we tell. And it's so exciting that you have such an interesting life experience and story to tell. So we can't wait to hear it in January. Thank you so much for being here.
I'm excited. It is an honor. I've wanted to do a TEDx talk for a while and never had the courage to apply. So I'm a little bit nervous, but I know that you guys are amazing already, and I'm very honored and excited. Thank you.
You're welcome. So coming to our screen next, hopefully, I think I messaged her, Veronica, Dr. Veronica, and Veronica, is it Tomor?
Close, Tomor.
Tomor, you know, my brain, I love to mess up names. So, and you're welcome to mess up mine. Dr. Tomor holds a doctoral degree in pharmacy. You're a clinical pharmacist, worked in the medical field for 3 decades, focusing in cardiovascular and neurovascular disease. She produced a documentary on her stroke journey and has been a featured speaker with the AHA and the ASA Parents Against Vaping, and is a patient advocate for the Florida Stroke Registry. You are the stroke and anti-vaping archangel, according to your title that you self-selected. And we love it because you're bringing us a very interesting topic about the intersection of stroke and vaping, which I think will surprise a lot of us, because vaping has been sold to many people in the general public as such a much better alternative to smoking, but that's not true, is it?
Not at all. Actually, there's data that is showing that even when you look at the contents of a vaping device, it contains a vitamin E acetate, propylene glycol, and trace metals. So that alone tells you that it is not safe. And the amounts of nicotine in there are not regulated by the FDA. So it's just very toxic all around.
And I don't think I recognized, and probably not my fellow organizers either, that stroke was so connected to smoking and now vaping. So strokes, that risk is so much higher if you're a smoker, isn't that right?
So it's about 20% if you're a smoker, combustible cigarette smoker, but the risk is actually high in vapors as well. And actually there's data from the American Heart Association, which was presented last year, that shows that the risk is 15%. The incidence of getting a stroke is about 15% earlier than in smokers. So,
and I know that you have some personal experience in your own family with stroke. And yet, knowing that and knowing the things that you know as a medical professional, you still had people in your family who you were surprised to find out were vaping.
well, yes. Well, it so happens that my brother had a stroke, my mom had a stroke, and my sister had a stroke. Unfortunately, both my sister and my mom passed away from hemorrhagic strokes, which are bleeding strokes. And this was all while I was working in this field. And as I was mourning the loss of both my sister and my mom, one day my son asked me to look for something in his backpack, and I found a vaping device, and that led me to start looking around for my other kids. I have three young men, and my 13-year-old also had a vape in his bag. So you can imagine my frustration and my just anger, I would say, from all of us going through this trauma, and then them choosing to vape.
Yeah, and I think you'll be bringing to our audience and to audiences around the world who will have access to your video all the things we don't yet know about vaping, about the stroke connection, and I think you're going to open a lot of eyes. I feel bad that it has taken so much in your life for you to get to where this is a crusade. Not saying it made you become a crusader, but that you are a crusader about it, but that there is so much behind it, the sadness of losing family members. But I think the value of what you can bring to all of us, learning from your experience and from your medical knowledge, is going to help us a lot to really understand something that does get twisted by companies that are looking to make a living off of something that maybe just really isn't that good for people. Did you help your children stop vaping?
I did actually. It took a while, but I opened their eyes, and they haven't been vaping for 2 years now. So I'm very pleased that I was able to accomplish that, and that's part of my mission to educate others about the perils of vaping, and that it's important to stop, and the sooner the better.
Well, we know this is just a TEDx talk is just one part of your mission and things that you're already doing. You're so active in this area. We're just really glad that you can be on our stage to do that. So thank you so much for being one of our TEDxEustis 2023 speakers.
Thank you. I'm so excited, and I'm really happy to be able to share this story and idea we're sharing.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, so next we're going to bring on Jana Shelfer. There is Jana. Hey, Jana.
What's up?
So it's funny, Byron and I are both smiling as big as we are because we know Jana from, what was it? How many years were you on the radio?
12.
12 years in Central Florida as Jana Banana, the sort of crazy, fun-loving intern on the Phillips File radio show. But there is so much more to Jana that we did not know. In fact, we did not know that while she was on that radio show during one of her breaks, she was off winning a gold medal in the Paralympics. So what sport?
We actually told the listeners that I was off shooting a reality TV show.
That is so crazy. So what sport are you this impressive that you've won multiple medals at the Paralympics?
I played wheelchair basketball, and I was actually a bronze medalist in 1996. In 2000, our team, we came in 5th place. And in 2004, we won the gold medal, which I had just started at the radio station. I was still an intern around that time. And we told the listeners that I was leaving for over a month to shoot a reality TV show while I was in Greece.
Well, congratulations, first of all. Thank you for representing your country.
Yeah, thanks.
You were not born using a wheelchair. But this came later in your life, and you had to face some difficulties in wrapping your head around moving around in a wheelchair rather than on 2 legs, right?
Yes, I have been, I was in a car accident in 1990. So that's a long time to sit on your butt, Tim. But you know what? I've had so many wonderful opportunities that have come my way. And I feel so blessed, and I feel so lucky. And I wouldn't change it for the world.
Well, and that sort of leads into, you're going to be talking about radical gratitude and the idea of being grateful. And I am going to curse for a moment because your application, the title was Be Grateful for Shit, which,
you know, the day that I wrote that application, I actually was taking my dog out for a walk, and I rolled through a dog turd. I actually rolled through a dog turd, and I had a big turd on my hand, and I came in and I was like, I have this application that I need to get done. And I was like, what is that smell? And I could not get it off my wheels, and I had washed my hands over and over, and it just was lingering. And I was like, you know what? Be grateful for shit. Be grateful for shit. That's the name of my speech right there. Be grateful for shit.
So the other part of it is really that choice, you making a choice to, when you're at that intersection of, do I feel awful for myself because of what my situation has been, something I didn't ask for, either rolling through animal feces or, you know, being in a car accident and losing the use of your legs in that way.
It is a choice. I mean,
you made a choice for gratitude.
Yeah, just like in that particular moment, I could be frustrated, I could be angry, I could spend my energy trying to clean and just be in a frenzy, or I could laugh about it and say, you know what, it is what it is, and let's just be happy and glad. And now I have a title for my speech. How great is that? How
Well,
lucky am I that God just gave me a fabulous title?
So we'll definitely work with you on whether we can actually use that title or not, but it's such a good one that really let us break through. We let us cut through what you were going to talk about. We are so excited to have you on our stage. You and I had a really great conversation. I'm looking forward to more of those. And I think you're just going to really affect a lot of people with a really great talk about something that's not just motivational, but also can help people with a very specific theory for how to handle difficult things that happen to them. And so I'm looking forward to having you on the stage.
This is my destiny. It's my destiny to speak to massive audiences, and I am so honored that you are giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, our entire group is happy to have you. And so thank you, Jana. We'll talk to you soon. All right, so next we're going to have Jefferson Noël. He's a Haitian American community educator raised in Miami. He's a 3-time published author, founder of Barbershop Speaks. I'm going to ask him to tell us what that is in just a moment. He's been featured on all kinds of programs, MSNBC, NBC News Now, the NPR, Miami Times, so much more. He is a professor at Florida Memorial University. Jefferson, thank you so much for being with us.
I'm glad to be here, Tim.
I just don't even know how you have time, especially between, I've seen what you're doing with Barbershop Speaks. Tell us what that organization is and what you do in the community.
That's right. I created Barbershop Speaks in 2016 based off the idea that people do not only go to barbershops for haircuts, but they go for conversations, they go for community, and they go to learn. So I believe the barbershop is the community's classroom where everyone is both the teacher and the student. And so we essentially host intelligent discussions inside barbershops and beauty salons.
What a fantastic way to connect with the community. Your talk is really going to take us back to school in a way. And you're going to be talking about how you particularly first, and I hope you don't mind me saying this, sort of failed at college. But when you went back, you actually realized that you could use college as a tool for yourself. And I got to tell you, my own experience was I went to college and was one of those good, great high school kids who followed all the rules. And then in college, it was, I didn't know how to advocate for myself. But you want students to advocate and use college as a tool, isn't that right?
That's right. I think people should use the university, use college, use their resources for the life that they should design for themselves. Because when I first went to school, I went to school with the mentality that, okay, they're here to teach me to be a consumer and not a producer. And because the idea was stuck in my head, I was only thinking as a consumer, although I have this entrepreneurial spirit. And that's in part why I dropped out. But long story short, when I finally got back into school, I realized, wait a minute, I can join student leadership. There's resources, there's a budget, there's respect in the community that people have for students that if I leverage for my own desires, if I leverage for my own purpose, then I'll have a better opportunity to succeed.
And how do you're currently a professor, like I said, at Florida Memorial.
That's right.
How do you impart this to your students when they come in?
Yeah, I tell my students, listen, if the only thing that you get out of school is an education, then you are wasting your money. There are so many more opportunities, so many more things that you can receive while being a student outside of education, that it would be foolish to only come to school, learn, and leave. But learning is extremely important, but there's so many opportunities to get involved while being a student. And so I'm always telling my students, you're not here to just learn, regurgitate on a test and leave, but I tell them that their growth as an individual is my priority.
Well, we are so excited to have you. I love watching Sabrina and Byron shaking their head the whole time because they're like, we picked the right people. So you all are doing great. We are so excited to have you, Jeff. I know that you're going to bring all that skill you had as a 3-time published author, and then of course as a professor. And we can't wait to see you on our stage. So thank you for being part of our family.
Thank you, Tim. And I love the theme intersections. I love it. I love it. I love it. We are going to have a really good time.
Awesome. All right. We'll see you soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Well, I'm going to bring to the stage Katie. And Katie McCleary is an author, a change maker, a professor of leadership, and a lover of people. She is the co-author of Bridge the Gap, which Inc. named one of 3 business books you should read in 2022. She has founded a nonprofit. She's a host of NPR Cap Radio's leadership podcast, The Drive, among a whole bunch of other things. And Katie, you have a very interesting, I'm going to try not to butcher it, a biomythographist. What in the world is that title?
So biomythographist is a term coined by the poet Audre Lorde, and it basically says we don't write autobiographies. We live at the intersection of our own mythology, our cultural mythology, history, who we want to be and who we can become.
Wow, and you worked in the word intersection. So thank you so much for doing that. That worked out great. Now you are coming to us with a really interesting topic, and one of the things that happens for us, and I know that Byron and Sabrina are going to shake their head when we say this, Robin and Peter will be doing it also off screen. We get a lot of TEDx applications that look the same. There are a lot of life gets better, I'm a life coach. You brought us a very unusual idea about writing slow. So what's the quick explanation without you giving your entire TEDx talk? What are you advocating that we do? Not use a computer all the time? What's this about?
So I'm advocating that we pick up a pen and a simple composition notebook, that's $1 at the store, and we write slow and we excavate who we are, what stories matter, and, break away from texting, typing fast, and just slowing down our conscious thought process.
And I will say, after we read that, and you have plenty of research and other things to back that up, so it's not just something you thought would sound good to send us as an idea. We know this is backed up. I actually use that process to do our brainstorming for our ideas for our TEDxEustis theme. And it was amazing how different it was than had I sat at a computer and typed them. That was fascinating to me because it let me circle things and mark things out. And, I got to really scribble, and I actually worked faster this way than had I actually gathered out a computer and then had the rest of the group get together and we talk about it. So number one, I believe you, but also I think you're going to really help us reframe in a world where we've all moved to technology because of pandemic and other stuff, that maybe sitting in front of a computer isn't the only way. And in fact, would you advocate that really actually unlocks our creativity more?
Yeah, so your experience works because you are able to distill a myriad of flurried thoughts and a train that is your mind is manufacturing all the time. Your body, your hand makes a choice of what matters, and that becomes more meaningful. So by slowing down, by handwriting, we actually are more effective and can have greater impact because we've distilled those ideas simply by taking a beat to be more present on the page than on the screen, transcribing everything out of your brain and then making choices.
Wow. So I see behind your head is your book, Bridge the Gap. Did you handwrite that?
I did. I handwrite everything. No, seriously. And your revision process is better in the end. Literally.
I can completely imagine. I just wanted to make sure that you could back it up. So that worked out really well. We're so excited to have you on our stage. Now, I think you might be our farthest away speaker. Many of our speakers are actually within just a dozen miles or maybe 100 or so miles from us. Where do you come from?
I'm going to come from Sacramento, California. And I have family that live just down the street from you. So win-win.
How fantastic. Well, I don't know if that played into why you looked up our TEDx, but we are so glad that you did, because you come with such an amazing background and your idea is going to really give people something to think about. As a great idea that we can all use. And we're just so glad to have you. So Katie, we look forward to working with you really soon.
Thank you so much.
You are welcome. And I got to tell you, all of our speakers are doing an amazing job. We're bringing Liz Cohen on next. And I'm going to talk about Liz while she pops herself up here. She's a mover and shaker in the field of education, received her BS degree from the Florida State University, and is the recipient of 2 prestigious awards from the university for her outstanding work: the 2018 Distinguished Alumni Award from the College of Education and the 2021 Grads Made Good Award from the Alumni Association. She became a member of the Board of Trustees for the Florida State University Foundation. And she has a whole bunch of other amazing things. Not only that, but in her role after serving as a teacher, assistant principal, in her role as a school district coordinator, she helped over 10,000 first-generation students go to college. Liz, I know that's a huge passion of yours, and one of the things you're going to be talking about that on our stage. Tell me what that means, first-generation college student. You'll have to unmute yourself, though. I don't have the power to do it for you. There you go.
Hi there.
Hey.
I am so excited for this amazing opportunity to share my life's work and my passion with the TEDx audience. First generation students are defined by our U.S. Department of Ed as those students whose parents did not complete college. They may have attended college, but they did not complete college. And I've got a little fact for you. Did you know that 1/3 of all the students who applied to college are first generation students?
And there's a lot of power in focusing your energy. If you have a limited amount of energy to give toward helping someone go to college, there's a power in making sure that that's a first generation student, isn't there?
There is power in that for sure. With schools, school districts, in the community, lots of resources. But I don't want to give all my thunder away because there's a lot I'm going to share, and I'm going to shake up the crowd and to really go to the heart with the stories of many students and lives that have been changed. If we talk about intersections, I am a second generation. So the intersection of my life and how that rolled out truly is an amazing tale.
So we're so looking forward to you being able to tell us about the power of first generation students sort of affecting all the generations that come after them and changing their communities. We're really looking forward to that. You're still active in education. Is this something you're an advocate for in your life still?
Most definitely. I've gone from advocate and cheerleader to now philanthropist, having funded well over 20 scholarships for students to not just go to college, but to go to that completion line, make that touchdown.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, I am so excited to have you on board. I am just impressed, and I think Sabrina and Byron probably are too, by the bona fides that our speakers this year bring with them, the life experience and also the passion for how long they've been in these fields. And I hope you feel like you're in good company from the people you've seen so far. We are so excited to have you on our stage and be able to share this with such a huge, broad community all across the world.
Looking forward to it. Thank you.
Liz, thank you so much. We only have a couple left. Michelle is next. Michelle is the award-winning author of several best-selling books. And let's see, I didn't want to read all this. I want to make sure I get the right thing. She's the host of the Moms Letting Go Without Giving Up podcast, where she shares addiction tips and interviews from the experts. Her latest book, Unhackable Moms of Addicted Loved Ones, Closing the Gap Between Havoc and Hope, is a 30-day program that moms can implement in their communities. And when she is not writing or facilitating support meetings for her tribe, she can be found on a pickleball court. Michelle, thank you so much for for being here. Is it Michelle Weidenbenner?
Oh, you said it right. Yes.
Well, I've been practicing for a while.
It's such an honor. Wow, this speaker lineup. I love all the topics.
You're going to be sharing with us a topic that I think affects everyone, even if we may not have someone directly connected to us who is dealing with addiction, but we know somebody. I think we all have known somebody affected by addiction, whether that's somebody who is addicted or somebody like you, a mom who dealt with addiction among your family. So tell us, give us a little idea of what though people who are dealing with that deal with in society, from societal pressures, or how they even pressure themselves for how they feel about that issue of being a mom of an addict.
I think initially they feel guilty, they feel shame, they think maybe they did something wrong. And then it's not until later that they realize that at some point it was a choice maybe for their child, but then it becomes a disease, and they transform. They learn how to connect, because the antidote to addiction is connection. And if we can't find that intersection, right, There's just too many people dying. We have to figure out how to save lives.
One of the important things when you give a talk, a TEDx talk specifically, is that we're not trying to give the entire solution. We don't have enough time in 3 to 18 minutes, and we do aim for our talks to be 10 to 12. That in that time period, there's not enough time to give all the answers. But one of the things you can do is get an audience, a general audience, to think differently. How should we think differently about addiction for those of us who may not be a mom or a father or an immediate family member of somebody who is addicted and dealing with that? How should we just treat that differently in society to make it easier for everyone who's dealing with this?
I think the stigma is just such a huge thing. So if your child had diabetes, you would find, or some kind of cancer, you would find the best doctor and the best treatment protocol. But if we do that for our addicted loved ones, then society looks down on that. So I would love to be able to show how we can treat this and connect with our loved ones so that they don't feel the shame of having a disease, because just like diabetes, there shouldn't be a shame in having that.
I am, your application was one of those ones that we read thinking, oh, we all need this, even if none of us are necessarily dealing with a person who is an addict and dealing with that. But we do know that we treat other people in our community we do talk to other people in our community who are dealing with that. And so many of the people, I only find out later that maybe a dear friend of mine was dealing with her child being addicted and never said anything to anyone because it was so shameful. So I just think even being able for you to shed some light on that with this idea of how to come to grips with that and treat it without the stigma is going to be a huge difference in so many lives.
Can't wait. Yeah.
We're so excited to have you. Thank you so much. And we are looking forward to working with you. So thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
Next, we have Nic Patterson. Nic Patterson is a restoration visionary. He majored in piano performance at the Alabama School of Fine Arts. A concert pianist, he represented Steinway & Sons for a time. He did start the Knick-Knack Design Company, a multi-million-dollar marketing company at the age of 13. He's a devotional writer with the Upper Room and served as a United Methodist minister. After making some bad choices, Nic was incarcerated for several years. And during that time, he dealt with the loss of his adopted parents, a divorce, and so much more. To help cope, he developed a program which helped over 400 inmates learn music theory, play instruments, and compose. And he now serves as a director of music at the Village Church in the World Golf Village, and teaches at-risk youth leadership and public speaking skills, and currently attends Harvard University. Nic, thanks so much for being here with us and taking time out of your schedule.
Thank you so much for having me.
I didn't read your entire bio. There's a lot of really good stuff in there. But what really drew us to your application was not only that you have a program that has worked because you've experienced it, you have an experience as someone who was incarcerated, that you helped you design that program in such a way that it would actually have lasting effect. Tell us a little about the program that you do without getting too far into the details, but what it does for those who've been incarcerated, either are incarcerated or have been incarcerated.
Absolutely. Music is part of the universal fabric. It's the universal language. So when people are in an environment where so many things are restricted, expression is also restricted. When I went there, I began playing the piano. People were drawn to that and they wanted me to teach them. So long story short, I asked my 6th grade teacher to send some music theory books in, and she did that. And from there, we got sponsors to start donating things. And in prison, everything is all about respect. Either people have respect or they don't. And this was a program that from the very get-go had respect. And because it was respected, everyone was able to come and be part of it, regardless of any gang affiliations and that sort of thing. Music was a connective piece, and people definitely intersected. And I saw people who had never played or people who had played earlier in their life come back to music, and it was incredible.
So how do you continue that now, and what's the development that's gone from that? On from that?
Awesome. Well, we also took the program into a work release facility while I was there, and as it was able to be transferred, we realized that it really is a scalable program. And so now we are working on always making sure in the institutions where the music theory program is offered that there are others that are stepping up, that are going through those last 2 levels. I always tried to have 4 or 5 in training, because in the prison system, someone can get transferred at the drop of the hat. And for that continuity, you need to have people that are ready and willing to step up. And that's part of what it takes, is that community. And even people with differences would help people with music endeavor. So it was amazing.
Do you find that when you describe this to people, that people who have never dealt with the prison system, that you get a little bit of pushback on the idea of creating a program for the incarcerated?
I really don't. I think that we have come far enough in our social conscience to be able to understand that people need restoration, and we can blame politics all day long. I'm not doing that, though. But the Department of Corrections, which is set to correct, they're understaffed, they're under budget, and whenever we can do something that will give measurable results and enable people to see they can start with something they want to do, and maybe for the first time in their life follow through, that's transformation. And we're seeing that all the time now. A lot of the people that participated in the program are still playing. They all share their stories with me. There's someone there in Eustis, actually, who bought his tickets today, that is so excited that I was selected for the talk there, because he saw such value in learning guitar and music theory and singing and all of those things.
That is really fantastic. And we're so excited, Nick, for you to bring that experience to us, especially since you have been somewhere that probably many of us have never dealt with that. And you're going to be able to bring us a view of what can be done in a positive way for restoration, and to help those who are going to be getting out of prison at some point and getting back into society. And it's so great to hear that there is a positive thing that it can be done and be supported. So we are just so excited to have you, and glad that you could be one of our TEDxEustis speakers for 2023.
It's an honor. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Next, we have RJ Chapman. I should say Master Chief RJ Chapman. He graduated, he was the student body president in 1976 of the George Whittle High School. I may have said that wrong, but joined the Navy right after graduating, steadily rose through the ranks, and in 1992 was selected for the Command Master Chief program. That selection is based on demonstrated superior leadership, broad management skills, effective communication, and proven administrative capabilities. He retired from the Navy in 2007 with the rank of Command Master Chief, and he began teaching at Camden County High School. He instructed the Naval Junior Reserve Officer Training Program for 14 years before retiring earlier this year, has a bachelor's degree in psychology, and is a qualified master training specialist. Hey, RJ, Master Chief, thanks for being with us.
That's great to be here. Great to be here.
You're not exactly what I thought a Master Chief would be like. You're smiling a lot more than I thought a Master Chief would.
Well, the good ones smile.
I love to hear that. It was so infectious. When we called you and told you were selected, I had to move the phone away from you were on speaker, and I still had to move the phone away because you were so excited by it.
Right.
And a lot of your excitement stems from what you were able to do with students. Without giving your whole talk away, what was the effect that you were able to bring to that high school with the Navy JROTC program?
Well, I got to tell you, I think they had more of an effect on me. I mean, I don't have any kids. 1,100 kids have come through my classroom. I just want them to know what it's really going to be like after they graduate. I want to get them some life lessons, be comfortable with themselves. And to be honest, I got more out of it than they did. But it was a great time, and I love my little speech. It's going to be fun.
I do think you're being maybe a little bit you're being a little humble. Sabrina, who personally cultivated you applying for this and has been a big advocate for you, really
Right.
told us about the effect at a school that was focused mostly on wrestling and football.
Right.
You were able to create a program that students really gravitated to it, and it gave them responsibility that they didn't normally have, the responsibility to put on a number of events, including a large ball. What does that ball look like, and how regimented is a naval ball?
Well, it's a very beautiful thing. It's a gorgeous thing. Some of them would never see it in their lives. You know, they might never see something this pretty in their life, but they work very hard to make that happen. You know, we just don't throw a bunch of money at it and they go in there and have a good time. They make the money, they earn the money, they have a lot of decisions they've got to make. But, you know, Sabrina, I love Sabrina. I love her to death. But Sabrina, I think, you know, you may have made a mistake on this one. But I do love her to death. She's great.
Master Chief, so,
Yes,
you know,
sir.
one of the things that that we are going to see from Liz is the effect you can have on students. She's going to be focusing a lot on their college experience. Your experience was in their high school experience.
Yes.
What you literally just retired earlier this year. We hear so many things about it's a popular idea to say, oh, kids nowadays, and they don't have and to complain about kids.
Right.
What do you think about this generation right now and what they have, the capabilities they have, and what's ahead of them?
I tell you what, I got a lot of hope. I got a lot of hope for them. I'm telling you, I don't think everybody understands that they do have ideas. They are smart, but you have to treat them like adults, you know, and I always see them in uniform and they're just little kids, but they look like real sailors. So I treat them like adults and I tell them that, and they rise to that occasion. I mean, they're just, I mean, you know, there's a few, i.e., you know, but most can be moved in the right direction to get something out of the program and something out of their lives.
That is fantastic. Well, you are going to bring us a great perspective. I think it'll really help. We're going to be at a high school, and there are going to be high school kids and teachers as part of our audience. And so we're excited. Maybe we'll get you back into a high school and excited about that. Although, please don't go around bossing anybody around. But
no, I don't do that.
We think you're going to be great. Master RJ, if I can call you that, Master Chief, thank you so much for being with us, and we look forward to your talk.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. I'm excited.
Next, we have Winfield Strock. He says, writing is my passion. Reaching others and encouraging them to find theirs is my mission. He's a Cold War submarine veteran. Finally discovered his life's passion in writing. It only took a brush with death for him to take his calling seriously. He is going to be bringing us his work, by the way, frames familiar and controversial issues within fantastic environments and from challenging perspectives, from vampires on a submarine to steampunk starships and beyond. Winfield hopes to move hearts to action and entertain minds open to a larger universe. I mean, first of all, very well written. So thank you for not making me write your bio, because you did a fantastic job with it. And we're just excited to have you because your life story, even if that's all you share with us, it would be fantastic. But you have such an interesting life story that gets you to that point. So tell us what it was. There was something that happened after you were in the Navy, or you were on a submarine. I think you had some medical issues and other stuff going on.
Oh yeah. Well, I guess some of the best stories kind of start with the main character getting kind of torn down, and I think that's kind of where my life was. That was my intersection, if you will, where you know, I went from a time where I was very proud of what I did as a sailor in the Navy, and then when I retired and couldn't find a job, I ended up as a night desk clerk at a hotel for minimum wage. And while I'm trying to struggle finding a second career, I discovered that I have a brain tumor. And so, I mean, for me, it was a pretty easy thing to deal with, because it wasn't like I was going to do the surgery. All I got to do is go in, take a nap, wake up, and deal with it, whatever's left. And so, yeah, it was interesting. I think it was scarier for everybody else around me than myself. I mean, I figured I was going to either come out, you know, better, or I don't know, not at all.
So how has that experience shaped what you do now as a writer? Are you more brave now? Do you feel like you have more options to share even more unusual stories? Has it made you more creative? What has it done for you?
Well, when I was trying to figure out who I was after being in the Navy, I I realized I needed to find something that I had a degree of talent for, but also enough passion to get through the part where I sucked at it. So, because I mean, it's just very natural to not be awesome at stuff the first time you try it. And so I get into the writing, and the thing is prior to the tumor and the surgery, I looked at it, I didn't realize it at the time, but I kind of looked at it as a hobby. I wrote when I had the time to write. After the surgery, there are things that the world tells you are important, and they tell you that other things are not important. And I felt like what I did coming out of that surgery was I had a better idea of what was really important. And that was taking my interest in writing, taking it seriously enough to learn how to do it better, to make my work shine better. And in doing that, I met some amazing people, and they have kind of served to help energize me and encourage me to do what I do.
So before we wrap this part up, and I'll be having some final words, what do you hope to share with people? If you gave them one simple thing to take away, even tonight, something we can learn from your experience, what would that be?
Well, the simplest thing is the majority of people in the world don't have a job that fulfills their heart. It pays the bills. And in finding my life's passion, I can go to a factory job during the day and know that that helps support the passion that I have in the evenings and on weekends. And everybody should have that.
That is fantastic. Well, we are so looking forward to you bringing your passion and your excitement to us. So stay on the screen, don't go anywhere. I'm going to ask our speakers that have been interviewed tonight to please come back to the screen. I am going to introduce you to our last speaker who is not with us this evening. Her name is Secily Wilson, founder and CEO of the WOW Legacy Group. She began her career as an award-winning broadcast news journalist, anchor reporter, and television personality. She spent more than a decade as a storyteller, spokesperson, and communications professional. She is also Orlando Business Journal's 2021 Women Who Mean Business honoree, a United Way Change Impact Award winner, and immediate past president of the Rotary Club of Lake Buena Vista, and a truly dynamic and amazing speaker who's going to talk to us about some pretty extreme experiences that have taught her things in life and that she can share with us about childhood abuse and other things like that. So we're excited to have her. I also want to say before we say goodbye to all, yes, Sabrina?
She's on. She's just under Timothy Totten.
Oh, well, then never mind. Let's get her back here. Cecily, you'll need to turn your screen. There you are. You just came on a little late, so you didn't hear the commentary to change your name. It's okay.
No, well, I've been on since the very beginning, so no, I probably missed that part, but yeah, I've been here.
It's all right.
No,
I'm going to change
Timothy.
your name right now. There you are. Yay. Everybody else stay where you are. Cecily, we're so excited. We are so excited to have all of our speakers. So I just gave you your intro. Now I gave that big intro that sounds so, really amazing accomplishments, but your topic is going to be a little more personal and maybe pull some heartstrings and make people a little uncomfortable. What are you going to be talking about on our TEDxEustis stage?
I want to talk about being in the room where it happens, or being in the room where it didn't happen, right? As a child, I suffered some sexual abuse at the hands of my stepfather, and it allowed me to really focus on who's in the room with me, who is at that intersection of my life that creates change and opportunities. And so creating that community, whether that's good or bad, is important when we're moving into an intersection of our lives.
You've had a lot of experience, obviously as a journalist, uncovering other people's stories, telling the stories of people, being hopefully as a journalist somewhat dispassionate about other people's story, having to tell the story and get the facts out there. But here is you're going to talk to us about things you've experienced. How is that going to be different for you sharing your story rather than a story as a journalist?
Well, I will say that I am not dispassionate as a journalist. I am very passionate as a journalist. And so, again, it's that storytelling that I am sharing the facts, but also engaging that community around a story that happens to a lot of people, sometimes more silently than others. And so it's the opportunity for me to share, you're not alone. You're not the only one. It happened to me, and it can happen to you.
You've been able to accomplish some fantastic stuff in your lifetime, as I shared in your bio. What are you doing now that really excites you?
Oh, being a grandmother. I love being called Gina. That is my grandmother name that I made up of my own because I think I'm too cute to be a grandma or a nana. So I made up the name Gina. And so I get so excited when I see Gina's baby. But aside from that, what I really get excited about is my nonprofit, which is WOW Legacy Group, which is an acronym for Women Overcoming with Willpower. And so when I am able to pour into the lives of women who are facing life adversities and see their intersections go into a path of empowerment, of strength, of resilience, whoop, whoop, I get excited about that.
Well, we know you're going to be able to use your TEDx talk to do that and to help empower so many other women. I think you've made all of us pretty excited to have you. And I'm sorry, I didn't realize you were on already, but I'm so glad that you're here. All of our speakers. We want to make sure, Byron, you were great to point out that we want to make sure we thank all of our previous coaches and potentially current coaches as they get selected to work with our speakers. We have a great team here at TEDxEustis. We call them a family. And you are all on screen here being welcomed into that family. You're joining over 60 speakers from our previous years, speakers and performers from previous years. And they are so wonderful to stay with us, to be part of the family. We're excited to have you as part of it because we are going to be spending the next however many months together getting all this going. And we want you as speakers to support each other as well. This is a big dream for a lot of people to be able to give a TEDx talk. And there are some people who think it's easier to get than it really is. It's really not that easy. You all had to have really impressive ideas to share. And I think I would hope everyone agrees that what we've heard tonight are some pretty amazing ideas and stories and people who are going to bring us just really an amazing day on Saturday, January 28th, 2023. Tickets are now on sale. So if anyone wants to get them, please do before we sell out of tickets. And of course, keep supporting. If you're here to support one of these speakers, keep doing that. Letting them, they're going to be practicing this over and over again, probably giving their talk about a dozen times to smaller groups to make sure it's ready, and then recording it on that day for publication around the world. So they will need your kindness and support. If you are a spouse, best friend, partner, whatever your job is, if you're the person who's going to hear this talk said 15 times in the car, please don't tell them how bored you are hearing it for the 15th time. You will hear it a lot. I know you're going to give them great amount of support. And just remember, the last time you have to hear it is on January 28th, 2023. Before I hang up, Sabrina or Byron, if you have something you want to add, please raise your hand. If you don't, I feel like we've covered pretty much everything, but we're so excited. And we look forward to getting together in the future. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
See you soon.
Bye, y'all. Oh, wait, I need a screenshot before you go away. Don't go away yet. Hold on. I'm going to screenshot everybody here. Ta-da. Yes, perfect. I'll zoom in. Anybody else has to be done. All right. Bye, everyone.
Somebody
Take care.
Oh, okay.